Africa time, live from SABC News Studios in Nesrike, south of Johannesburg. A very good afternoon to you as we welcome you to the third and the final hour of SA Today on the SABC News channel, independent and impartial. My name is Balisa Chubisi. It's great to have you with us on this Tuesday afternoon as we get into it. In news just in, Burundi's President Pierre Nkurunziza has died. The government of the Republic of Burundi, in a statement, said the unexpected death of Nkurunziza occurred at the Karusi 50th Anniversary Hospital following a cardiac arrest. For more on the story now, let us cross via Skype to SABC News East Africa correspondent Sarah Kimani, joining us live from Nairobi, Kenya. Sarah, good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for coming through. So the government has indeed confirmed the passing of the president, and we understand it's due to cardiac arrest, but this happened yesterday already.
Yes, indeed. The government of Burundi, in a statement released a few minutes ago, has confirmed that President Pierre Nkurunziza, outgoing president of Burundi, passed on yesterday while receiving treatment in hospital in the capital, Bunjumbura. The report further indicates that he had actually watched a volleyball match in his village of Ngozi on Sunday, and then on Sunday night is when he was taken ill and he was taken to hospital. They say that he suffered a cardiac arrest on Monday. They have, however, not said if he had any underlying ailments or there was any other treatment that he was receiving before this cardiac arrest.
So let's just reflect a bit, Sarah, on his 15-year impunity rule in Burundi. We do know that the Burundians had gone to the polls in May. So reflect on his rule for 15 years.
Now, President Pierre Nkurunziza took over power after the signing of a peace accord between himself and rebel leaders, ending several years of civil conflict in that country. And when he took over, he continued to rule with an iron fist. But initially, he seemed like he was able to unite the country. However, when he decided to run for another term in 2015, chaos broke out in the country because his opponents said that he had gone against the peace accord that was signed in Arusha that brought peace to the country. And so he insisted that he was actually eligible to vie for another term. And so the last 5 years in the country have been marred by violence, have been marred by enforced disappearances of some of his opponents. One of the youth movements that is supported by his party, the CNDD-FDD, have been seen to clamp on dissent in the country. And he himself has also been accused of, reining in very hard on dissenters and people who have been against his rule. Most recently, he is known to have evicted or expelled human rights groups out of the country, international human rights groups, including those allied to the United Nations. And most recently, just when the world was fighting COVID-19, he decided that his country would actually go ahead and carry out elections amidst the COVID-19 pandemic. And so when the World Health Organization officials protested this, they were also kicked out of the country. So that is probably the most recent issues or events around his rule.
So when he was re-elected in June of 2010, the vote was boycotted by the opposition in the country, which then complained of fraud and even in the previous earlier elections. Let's just talk a bit about these recent polls, because we understand there are also some court battles with his current recent polls as well.
Now, he announced that he was not going to vie again and that he was stepping down, and indeed he did. And his party chose Evariste Ndayishimiye as his successor. And Evariste Ndayishimiye won the poll, the May 10th poll, with 69% of the total votes cast. His nearest rival, opposition leader, Agathon Rwasa, got about 24%. And when he went to court, because he moved to court to protest and, say that he thinks he deserved to win, and he laid out issues that he said there was ballot stuffing. He spoke about the voters' roll not being clean. The courts, both the High Court and the Constitutional Court, threw out his petitions. And the latest was on Monday when the court, the Constitutional Court, confirmed Evariste Ndayishimiye as the winner of this year's presidential elections, paving the way for Nkurunziza to hand over power. That would have happened in August this year. It seems now it will have to be brought forward very fast so that then there is no a power vacuum in the country. Also, interesting to notice that even though he has said that he was going to step down, the party had appointed him as the supreme guide. So he was not going to completely vacate politics in the country.
I wanted to touch a bit on that because we do know, of course, that he was set to hand over power in August, but still to remain supreme guide. What would that entail?
We still did not know quite what that would mean, but considering that he handpicked his successor, it means he would have still had a lot of influence and say in running of the government. Take, for example, there would have been the appointment of a cabinet. We would have seen his hand in that. We would have seen his hand in the management of the party, the CNDD-FDD party, the main ruling party in the country and the strong party in the country, seeing as he has managed to clamp on dissent and also on the opposition party.
And I suppose it's still a bit early to have gathered perhaps some take of the Burundians on his departure. But I believe this is someone who's leaving behind some fears of political crisis and a country that had been destabilized for quite some time now.
Yes, indeed, and probably the only silver lining is that he has departed just when the Constitutional Court had confirmed Evariste Ndayishimiye as the winner of the polls, and Agathon Rwasa, having considered defeat and said that he accepts the decision of the Constitutional Court, may make transition easier. We do not know, however, whether dissenters who have previously tried to overthrow Nkurunziza will see this as a chance to try and take power through the back door. One will only hope that peace will reign in the country, and especially because the East African region and the Great Lakes region has been bedeviled by conflict, whether it is in the east of the Democratic Republic of Congo or in Burundi most recently. We've seen comments on social media, a lot of people expressing shock because he is a young person. President Nkurunziza was 55. Maybe just to let you know that his wife had actually been airlifted to Nairobi to receive treatment. We still do not know what kind of treatment she was receiving, although a lot of speculation was that she may have been infected with COVID-19 during the campaigns for the presidency. And we also understand that she was receiving treatment together with some of her close personal aides. We still do not know if President Nkurunziza was free of COVID-19, and we have seen government rebuffing those rumors which are already taking place on social media.
All right. So just quickly, Sarah, just remind us what the constitution of the country says. So does it mean now that his successor will automatically resume power?
I would not know for sure, although the Constitution says after the court cleared Ndayishimiye, his successor, to take over power, he was due to be sworn in August. So within that time, either the deputy president will take over or he will then, Ndayishimiye will be sworn in immediately. We will await to hear what the government will say.
All right, time constraints, Sarah. We'll leave it at that. But thank you so much for that update. Our SABC News correspondent live from Nairobi, Kenya, Sarah Kimani, confirming for us that the president of Burundi, Pierre Nkurunziza, has indeed died at the age of 55 due to cardiac arrest. And this, of course, is a developing story because we wait to see now what happens. We do know that he was supposed to vacate his position in August, making a way for his successor, and he was to remain a supreme guide in the country. But as Sarah said, we wait and see what happens and what the Constitution says regarding this particular move. Do stay tuned to the SABC News channel. We'll certainly have